love it though, because it's raw content.
Yeah, it is.
Then we just come into the idea and the life of the video.
I think it's good to have a bit of fun with it as well. Like having a little break and then coming back for entertainment content.
Gonna
and
need
then
a
going for
coffee
the
as well.
seriousness. Yeah, I know, that's when you know it's a more fun video, when you've got the Sue Pryke clay-made coffee cup. Do you know how expensive this was?
I'm not going to ask.
Not to brag, but about 39 quid, I think.
Ooh.
Yeah. It was back in my spend a lot of money phase, where I was just like, even if I get a pen, it has to be a £25 pen.
That's to be a
I wanted standard. It was, but everything had to be standard. And I was buying like, if you feel that, like it's a different material.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it was like, I don't know. Now it looks like a bit dusty. Almost, what is it? The Cup of Christ?
Holy Grail.
Yeah, the Holy Grail.
Indiana Jones.
Looks a little bit like that.
Yeah.
You chose wisely.
That's it.
You have chosen wisely.
Talking of films, what a lead!
There's a segue.
We're professionals.
There's a segue. Yeah.
So, what we're going to do is, let me get a bit closer to the camera there, guys. What we're going to do is we are going to talk about films that inspire you to be a better man. I think in this industry, we're very guilty of just being everything needs to be professional, serious all the time. And this is going to mix it up because we are humans behind the cameras.
Yeah,
we do watch movies. We do love, actually having a life. And I think this is an important thing to touch on because there's so many movies that inspire you to do more. If it wasn't for Casino Royale at 14, I wouldn't be here today. That's who I wanted to become. That's the life that I wanted. So, I mean, that's probably a good place to start, actually. Daniel Craig's the best Bond. I don't care what anybody says. It was the first time I watched it where it got serious. Out of all the movies that he's done, which one for you is the one that stood out most?
Casino Royale.
Was it?
Yeah. I remember seeing that for my 16th birthday. And I'd waited and waited and waited to see it.
Yeah.
And I got it and I was like, and it was amazing. I love Pierce Brosnan as well because I grew up with that. Obviously, I was the perfect era for that James Bond. And then Timothy Dalton before that was just before my time. But yeah, Daniel Craig compared to Pierce Brosnan, they've got pros and cons. But I think Daniel Craig, for me, every Bond film he did, despite what the critics say, was just brilliant. Casino Royale for me though, mate, is the one that stands out because it was groundbreaking when it came out. It was raw Bond. It was it was violent. Yeah, he got beat up. He wasn't invincible.
Yeah,
he got shot. He got shot in the shoulder. He did that in Skyfall. Sorry, not Casino Royale, but he got hurt and he's just a spy. It makes it more believable. He's not this machine like he was in the previous films where he could do all of these things and it was a little bit campy.
He was smarmy as well.
Yeah, he was smarmy and the way he'd treat women, like it was different. It was a different tone. And yeah, watching that as a young teenager, you're like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
It's refreshing.
It inspired everything that I'm doing today. And I still think today, he was 37 when they filmed it. So he's 38 when it came out, but he must have been 37 when
I didn't know it was that old, yeah.
So I think to myself, I'm still 5 years away from that. That just encourages me so much. I love that idea.
And he's in amazing shape. There's the famous shot of him, obviously, that everyone was plastering everywhere in that film came out of his physique. It was nuts.
Joe, I don't think he does, but years later, you see a body that was celebrated and it looks like shit because standards go up so high and everyone gets on steroids.
Yeah.
It happened with Ryan Gosling. I can't remember the film, but is that Crazy Stupid Love? Is it that one?
I think it might be that one.
Where everyone's like, oh my God, look at his abs, look at his body. And today you look at it and you're like, it's a normal guy's build now. It's crazy how standards have changed.
Tobey Maguire in Spider-Man was another one as well. Like his physique, I'm watching that. You're like, that superhero physique, it's amazing. And now you look back, he just looks like he's a guy that's skinny but ripped. He doesn't look like he's got good arms, but he's not particularly big. But the standard back then, that was like, early 2000s that film came out? So you're talking 20 plus years. That was like peak masculinity. If you had the Spider-Man physique, now it's like the Thor physique, where Chris Hemsworth is absolutely massive and he says he's not on anything. And it's like,
he has to be.
You gain like 20 pounds of muscle in a year.
And he's late 30s, is he?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
it's possible, but it's not
possible. But to do it that quickly,
do you know if physique was stood the test of time? Ryan Reynolds in Blade, shredded, stood the test of time. He's always looked great. I mean, this is a topic for another video that we can go into. You know what I mean, we should do that actually. The best physiques in movies. But what was your favourite scene from like Casino Royale? Like, what was the scene that you
inspired me?
Yeah.
You know what I really love in that film is when he gets tortured
Yes.
and he's strapped to the chair.
And he's swinging the rope onto his bollocks.
Yeah. Oh mate, that's horrible. But it's the how much Bond wants to get out there and save Eva Green. I can't remember her character name. Vesper, that's it. Yeah, well done, because he calls the drink after it.
Obsessed with the film.
Calls the drink after it, yeah. And then obviously he finds out at the end, after they've been together, and like he thinks that she's the one, that she's betrayed him. But he's a different Bond at that point, and I think seeing that, because you have this idea of the character, don't you? What he's like, he's smarmy, he beds women, kills bad guys, and then the mission's complete. And it's like, actually, this is a different side of Bond, and it was a more real side of Bond. You see his emotions, like how angry he gets when he finds out she's betrayed him and stuff, and it was just a bit more human. And when you're a 16-year-old emotional teenager, testosterone flowing through your body, and you're like, oh, this is what I feel like about women sometimes when I'm trying to chase girls and they're like rejecting me and all of this stuff.
Yeah.
For me, I was like, it makes you feel like you're a character in the film, or you're Bond yourself. Like you said, you wanted to live your life like that. It's weird how your mind works when you're that young, and it sounds silly, but you get influenced so easily by movies and stuff. And this is why I wanted to do the video, because even nowadays, there's movies where I get inspired, more mature movies that aren't like spy thrillers and stuff. Maybe, I don't know, biopics or something like that. And I'm like, actually, that's really inspirational. You take that little bit of nugget of information, you're like, I love that. But as a teenager, it's all about violence and shooting people and stuff like that. But
for me, for that film, it was the Aston Martin. The Aston Martin was banging.
The
New Vanquish.
I think the V12
at the time, yeah.
What
it was unbelievable. And him getting out, walked to the casino in the tux. I was like, oh my God, what a scene. It was the beautiful woman, Katerina Munoz, in the red dress, the like
villain's girl.
Arab-looking woman.
That's it. Yeah.
Like that scene when he's trying to impress her and whatnot. I was like, I want a woman like that. I want a car like that. I want his life. I want to look like Bond. You know, you see all that as a 14-year-old boy sat in the cinema, just sat at the back in the center. And I was like, I've never seen anything of that standard before. Do you know what I mean? That standard of living where you've ticked all the boxes. For me, a weird scene when he's tied up. And he takes all his clothes off. I don't know where I'm going with this. No. And then he goes, you've taken great care of your body, Mr. Bond.
Yes.
I love that. I love that.
Shifra says that to him,
I think of that often when I'm in the gym. When I don't want to get out of bed, I'm like, imagine being that guy who's older, where they're like, you've taken great care of your body. It's so important. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a weird thing, but it resonates with me. And then I think maybe the last one is the final scene when he shoots the guy in the ankle.
Mr. White.
And he's in Lake Como.
Yeah.
Is it Como or Garda? It's probably Como,
I think it's
right?
Como, yeah.
Yeah, it is Como,
the
isn't
hotel
it?
right in the corner.
Yeah, and he just walks around, and you can hear the sound of his like Oxford shoes on the gravel.
On the gravel, yeah.
Yeah, and he's walking over, and
he appears with a gun.
It's the Bond, James Bond,
mate.
But it's just that you're looking at Lake Como, and you're like, wow,
The name's Bond.
that's
stunning.
Yeah, you don't even know these places exist at 14. All you know is like Las Vegas and Ibiza and whatnot.
Yeah.
And people start revealing these, I would say, adult locations to you. Do you know what I mean? You don't hear about these locations.
Lake Como is incredible. I mean, I wouldn't say it was a hidden gem per se, but I do agree until you get to a certain age, you don't know about it. And then you're like, how do I not know about this place? It's absolutely beautiful. Same with Lake Garda as well. I mean, Italy as a country, no one goes there on holiday.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, people want to go to New York or Florida, or like you said, you know.
Until you're older, you do like a tour.
Ibiza and stuff like that. It's like, actually, if you go to Italy, Greece, Hungary, you go to Budapest, right? Cultural places like that and experience that lifestyle. I know where we're going with this, right?
Well, yeah. Sign up now.
Yeah, Chris is building something that can help you guys do that. But anyway, yeah.
Do you know a sleeper Bond film? Quantum of Solace. Never got any credit, but I love that one.
Got ripped apart by the critics.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I like the scenes. I like where they were. I just thought it looked cool.
The opening car chase scene, I'll argue this with anyone, is the best scene of any Bond movie.
Yeah.
The Alfa Romeo police cars, Bond in his Aston, literally straight after Casino Royale, and he's got it beaten to shit. The doors are off it. He's getting shot at. Like, the police are chasing him. That scene, and he's got the Mr. White in the boot of his car as well, who's just shot in the leg in Casino Royale. That scene where they're going around Italy, around the mountain roads, the way they shot that is unbelievable. And I think it's the best Bond car chase ever. And that's what, for me, makes the film. That start, that opening scene is so...
You're right into it.
My God.
Do you know what I liked as well? It's like, this is connected. It's a world.
Yeah.
Rather than another Bond film,
Each story,
it's something completely different every time. Oh, a new villain and whatnot. It was like, oh, this is connected and this is the next kind of section of the web.
Yeah.
That's I really like that.
Yeah, it all ties in, and then you get right to the Spectre and No Time to Die, and it's all linked to Blofeld and obviously Spectre, the organisation and everything traces back to the first film of Casino Royale, because even mentioned Spectre in that film.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Schiffer is part of Spectre, and you're like, well, what's Spectre? If you read the book, obviously you understand it, because it's the first ever Bond book was Casino Royale, but when you watch the films, they make sense. And like you said, you watch the Pierce Brosnan films, GoldenEye, Tomorrow Never Dies, and World Is Not Enough, and what was the other one? Oh, Die Another Day that he did, which was terrible in my opinion. But none of them make sense. They're their own standalone film, whereas the Daniel Craig ones all were in a sequence. And I think that's, for me, what makes those films so special, because you could follow the story. And everyone loves a good story. Do you know what I mean? And when it's Bond as well, everyone knows James Bond.
It was addictive. I remember Spectre as well, the snow scene. Like he goes up to the ski lodge and whatnot, and he gets the therapy and stuff like that. He's just been exposed to different locations, almost like rich people life. It's like, he's going skiing up, and then they list the location. And do you know my favourite thing actually about Bond is it's a little fact for you, is that it came up Montenegro. It was in Montenegro, wasn't it, and stuff like that. It wasn't. It was in a place called Kari in Czech Republic. That's where the casino and the hotel and whatever. That's where it's all filmed. But it came up Montenegro, so all these millionaires and billionaires started buying property in Montenegro, thinking it was beautiful. They saw the town centre, and they're like, wow. Today, Montenegro started thriving because of that movie. Loads of people injected cash into it. They've got all these modern builds and stuff like that there, and it took off. And everyone thought it was in Montenegro, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
I love that. And it opened my eyes to the world. I was like, oh, there's other places out there. And I think that's what being like Mr. International is. Being able to travel to different places around the world, discover new lands. You know, we can't really do that anymore.
And we can't get on a boat anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Explore,
and it gave me that sense of like, whoa, there's so much of a world out there. Like he would sit in the opening scene. I think they were having like a coffee or something. It was him, Eva Green, and the older guy, Mathers.
Oh yeah, Mathers. Yeah.
And they were sat in
on a
Montenegro.
Piazza,
yeah, and they were just having like a drink, bit of food and whatnot. And I was like, wow, look at that location. And I think they drove up in the Aston. And you look at that and you're like, how can I not want that? How can I not chase that like classy life? And we always shit on the lime green Lamborghini, and it's like, because I've grown up with that. That's what I've seen. I've not seen TikTok edits. I've seen James Bond. It makes a major difference.
It does. When you're watching a 2-hour movie and you get context to it rather than just a clip, it adds so much more depth. So yeah, as our generation, you know, growing up millennials, like it's the Bond movies were massive. But when they were coming out, the new Bond movies coming out, and it was like 3 or 4 years, sometimes even 5 years between the film.
Prepping it, showing all the filming, and
it was a huge event. And as a teenager, you get so excited about it, and then you see the lifestyle. It is aspirational. You're like, people joke about it, thinking, "Oh, you can't live the Bond lifestyle because you know it's silly or it's hypothetical," but you can to a degree. And if you aspire to that, especially watching that as a kid when you're so easy to influence, it's like I kind of want that. You know, if I could take one woman around the world and we can drive an amazing car, who wouldn't want that lifestyle? And if you get that little snippet of that lifestyle from a movie, from a book, whatever it is, it's good for you. I think I don't, what you said at the start of this, mate, I don't think it's healthy to just shut off popular culture. I think you can learn from it. You can learn from it and think differently. How is this
Everything's
possible?
inspired from something. Like you think of, you know, the Hobbs and Shaw scene where they go side by side and I analyse Jason Statham and whatnot.
As they're getting ready in the morning and all of that.
Without sounding like a dick, and I hope I don't. I'm not a million miles away from it. I'm already bold. Right? No, but like, I could. This house isn't too far away from that scene. It's slightly different because, you know, that was obviously massive budget and whatnot. The views.
Still in London as well.
Like the McLaren is, we can go and get it tomorrow if we wanted to. It's just not a good business decision. But it's like I can add the McLaren in tomorrow.
I imagine doing
I've got my own trench coat company, and it's like I can wear the same clothes.
Yeah.
You know, you're in shape like he is. I can get a beautiful woman in the beds and have the nice view and whatnot. And it's like I can wake up with that lifestyle, go downstairs, get in the McLaren. It's like that came from seeing it and going, yeah, I want that. I want to dress like that. I want to operate like that. I want a house like that. I like grey London. People shit on it. I'm like, I like it. I like that culture.
I like it as well.
I like walking down the street and there's like some ruffians outside the pub and you're like, I got to stay sharp. I got to be on it. Do you know what I mean? When people go, oh, when it's safe, I want to move so-and-so because it's safe. It's like, that doesn't excite me. I've lived in Toronto where it was super safe. It bored me. I was like, there's no edge, there's no danger. Not one moment am I thinking, right, you've got to stay on it, you've got to stay sharp. Everything's done for you. It's a police state. It bores me. I don't know. Maybe I'm
I
just
like
different,
that.
but-
No, maybe you are, but I like that narrative or that perspective, because I think if you're always looking for safety and always looking for comfort, you're never really pushing yourself. I mean, I get that maybe when you have a family, you want safety, you want a secure place, but and London's not everybody's taste. I get it, but it does keep you on your toes, and I think you stay sharp. You're thinking. You have to kind of be a certain way. You know, you're not going to walk out there and get shot or stabbed. That's gang-related culture.
It does,
do you know what I mean?
happen. Everyone thinks it does. It doesn't.
If you're in a gang and you choose that life, fine. Every city in the world has gangs. It just, with London and with social media, because London's such a big city and you've got like 9-10 million people living here, it's perpetuated quite easily. Same with Manhattan. When you look at the boroughs like the Bronx, Queens, Harlem, or back in the day when you couldn't even go out in Central Park at night. No one really talks about New York like that. But London seems to be the hot topic anymore. Oh, London's fallen.
It's because it's the number one city.
It's always been a criminal activity city.
Number one city, yeah, big time with the old gangsters.
Yeah.
But it's been number one city for 10 years.
Yeah.
So the other cities are like, ruin it, tear it down.
Go back to the Victorian era. Look, hear the history of Jack the Ripper. Like,
The Craze.
And then the Craze. And then George, what was the South London gang called? He got shot in the Blind Beggar pub. I can't remember the name. George something.
Oh, I can't remember.
Some of you will know.
He was in the Craze.
Yeah, he was in the
film.
movie, wasn't he? Because he walks into the bar and shoots him.
Yeah.
And as he's having his pint, and all of those gangs, like there's gangs nowadays, but back in the 60s and 70s, they were still around. They just didn't have social media back in the day. So to say that London has fallen or whatever, it's like, no, it's just more widely available now for people to see this side of London. But you can say that about any city, because it's always going to show what's good or what's bad, because that's the narrative that people want you to believe. But I love this city. Like, I've spent so much time in this city in my 35 years on this earth, and I've never once thought, you know what, I wouldn't want to live here. There's so much to enjoy about London and the upside of it. And like you said about it being voted the best city.
10 years.
Yeah.
That's not by accident. So it's probably a lot of propaganda so that somebody else can take the top spot.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
It works well. There's probably a lot of money in that. Most visited cities, Paris, then it's probably London off the back of that. I'm not sure, but
Probably, yeah.
that's where people get it from.
Yeah.
Is there any other films that have jumped out to you? Because Casino Royale was my original.
I'm thinking about films in movies now. Thinking about films, that are shot in London. Sorry.
Yeah.
Now, let me get my words out. I think you mentioned Hobbs and Shaw, but I wouldn't put that obviously out there for me.
No, it's that scene.
It's just that scene that I get what you're saying. I can't think of any films because.
I've got one that inspired me.
Go on, you lead with it.
Which is different.
Go on.
The first Captain America film.
The first Avenger? The original.
The first Avenger, yeah. Mate, he was. They even told him, the Russo brothers were the directors, and they said to him, "You can't just act it in the film. You have to live it in real life." They're like, from now on, your life has to be perfection. Otherwise, the image is incorrect. And you think ever since he stopped playing Captain America, he's done The Grey Man. He was the villain in the what's the one, The Glass Onion. What was the original?
Oh, Knives Out.
Knives Out.
Daniel Craig.
He was the villain in that.
Yeah.
He's been the villain and like a complete dickhead in so many films. That latest Christmas film he did with The Rock.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's been a dick ever since, because it probably drove him nuts. Because he had to be like the perfect man in real life and in the movie, probably like for 10 years.
Yeah,
and
at least,
he really was as well.
Yeah.
Like, he was such a gentleman. You think in the film, like, he's the only one who jumped on the grenade. He's like, he always kept the locket of
Peggy, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's just little things like that. And it was just like, what an inspirational. I watched that and it made me want to like do better. Made me want to be a better man. I was like, stop being such a degenerate. Do you know what I mean? Focus on one woman. Be the guy with morality, with honor.
Yeah.
Fight until the end and stuff like that. And it does. You watch stuff like that and you're like, I want to do the same.
I love
Really
that, mate.
inspires
Because
me.
he goes back at the end of Endgame, doesn't he? To see her when
he
they've got the
wraps it
time
all up.
machine and wraps it all, and he comes back and he's old.
Yeah.
But yeah, what you said about fighting on to the end, where he's battling Thanos by himself, and his shield's broken and he's battered to shit, and Thanos is just like basically got one mark on him, and he's
on his
like,
own, ready to go.
Yeah, and then everyone shows up.
Yeah.
It's just insane. That scene is fantastic.
I could be 100 years old, I'd still be like, it's like, come on.
It gets you going, doesn't it? It does get you going.
I love scenes like that.
But yeah, I like that, because Captain America, I'm not a massive Marvel fan. I definitely enjoy them. I'd be an idiot to say I didn't, but I've always been DC. Like, Batman is my favourite superhero.
What do you think of the most recent Batman? Like, was that inspiring? The way Robert Pattinson was playing it, like in the dark, in the shadows, like
The
the
brooding.
songs. It's the songs.
The soundtrack's good. The score's good. I love the film. The film was Marmite for a lot of people. Some loved
I
it,
loved
some
it. I
hated
thought it was
it.
brilliant.
Because it was everyone had been so used to Bale playing Batman for like 7-8 years, and he's fantastic. Don't get me wrong, he was brilliant. The films are insanely good, but different director, Matt Reeves instead of Christopher Nolan, different dynamic, younger actor who's been known for doing rom-coms and Twilight movies, and he's taken himself more seriously now. Robert Pattinson, he's a very brooding Bruce Wayne, but the thing is, I'm not a comic book nerd, but I know the Batman story. So people are jumping on it saying, "Oh, it's not the same as Christian Bale." It's like, no, because he's 2 years in to being Batman. He's still
he's
raw.
learning it.
He's
Yeah.
still figuring out Gotham. He's still figuring out the city, where to go, like what to do, who to be. That's why Alfred, gives him so much advice in the film. Andy Serkis's character.
That makes sense, actually. Yeah,
He's like the dad, because his
yeah.
parents have been killed 2 years ago. Then he's turned to Batman to stop crime, and then Alfred comes in and he's like, "Master Bruce, you need to do this. Master Bruce, you need to do that." And he's the guy that's guiding him. And
not going outside.
And he's-
sat in the
yeah,
dark
do you know
all
what I
day.
mean?
Yeah, I think every young man can relate to that. Like that little moody spell you go through.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't want to do anything. Fuck the world. I'm going to fight back.
literally
Like a
what he's
little
going
Red
through.
Bull.
And that's why he calls himself Vengeance. He doesn't even call himself Batman.
yeah.
He calls himself Vengeance because he's so angry with the way that his city is gone, and he's grown up there, and obviously his parents have been killed. So of course he's angry. Of course he's upset. But you watch the way he fights in that film, and it is very much raw. Like it's not choreographed. Like he gets hit, he gets
It's
shot.
aggression as well.
Yeah, it's violence, it's
Speed,
aggression, it's
aggression.
uncontrolled.
Yeah,
like,
uncontrolled.
He's just going at it. And
Yeah.
you watch the Dark Knight films, everything he does is calculated and precise, and he doesn't get hurt. It's in the Batman with Robert Pattinson. He gets shot in the first scene. He's got bulletproof armor on, but one of the guys, one of the gang members shoots him, and he gets punched multiple times, and he keeps coming back.
Do you know, there's something about being the guy who just does the right thing.
Yeah.
When you see it in a movie, you're like, I just want to be behind this guy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Even the anti-heroes, they're the same. It's like, I just want to support this guy. I want to get behind him.
The anti-hero, that's a good
They're just
angle,
doing
yeah.
the right thing. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, even if I've always had a phrase, which is, even if it makes me look bad, or if it negatively affects me, but it's the right thing to do, I'm doing it anyway. I've always been the same with women. I've been the same in like business. I've been the same everything that I do, my audience and whatnot. If it makes me look bad, but I'll admit it, I'll say it. I have to do it. I can't. I don't know. And I think I got that from those movies. I think I have to have got it from those movies.
There's certain movies that do make you think like that, or they kind of reinforce certain beliefs. Going back to the Batman quickly, the end scene where he saves people from the flood at the end, and he's like carrying them out, and he's all dirty and grubby and stuff like that. I love that scene because he's the manly hero. Like he's almost come full circle. The monologue at the end that he narrates, that Robert Pattinson narrates as Bruce Wayne, who says about saving the people of the city rather than trying to save the city itself. And it's like, when you look at it like that, because a lot of guys are trying to save the city, which is themselves, rather than trying to save other people. And I do think that's how you really go far in life. If you look to save other people and look to help other people, that will give you a sense of purpose. It will give you a sense of fulfillment, and your life gets better as a result, because we're not talking about giving to charity or anything like that. Set up a business and look to help other people. Like, how can I help my ideal customer today? Not what product can I throw at my customer? What course can I sell my customer to make me more money? How can I help them today? And then they'll pay you for that. And you're like, money is just a byproduct of that. So with Batman, he knows for him to progress that he has to save the people of the city and protect the people of the city rather than try and save the city from corruption and demise and everything else. Because they talk loads in that film about the Rat, which is the organised crime bosses and Carmine Falcone and all of this stuff that's going on. It's like, instead of that, save the people, know that they've got trust in you to protect them, and then naturally he'll be seen more as a figurehead of the city, and criminals will fear him and all of this stuff. And it's like,
I like that.
I love that angle.
Like systematic destruction of it.
Yeah.
Do you know I saw that being filmed? I saw Batman being filmed in person.
Whereabouts?
So I was working in Farringdon for the hedge
they
funds
did
company.
film a bit of it in London.
And I was
didn't they?
walking, I used to go on this same walk down by, as you walk towards like Westminster, where Big Ben is, from Farringdon, I was walking down like by the river. So I'm walking down there, and I see all these police cars parked outside this massive manor house, which is in, the opening scene where there's a massive manor house and the opera music's playing,
Yes.
Ave Maria.
Yep, yep.
And then he just like stabs the guy and whatnot.
Yep.
That was the house. And then they come out and do the press conference. That was the scene. And Robert Pattinson was there in the Batman outfit and whatever. So I'm walking down the road and I see all these police cars and a big crowd of people. And I was like, who's been shot? What the hell has happened? I
Yeah.
was just sipping on my coffee, like getting all nosy. And then I saw it had Gotham written on the side. I was like,
Gotham
no
PD.
fucking way.
Yeah.
I was like, that's because originally I was thinking that looks like a US police car. Looks like a New York police car. I was like, what the hell is going on here? And then you see Gotham, and I was like, oh shit. And there was like all the cameras, massive crew. It was all boarded off. You couldn't go around any of the edges. And then I knew when there was like 200 beautiful women there, just all stood there just watching. And I was like, oh, they're all trying to get Robert.
Yeah,
They're all there for
Can I
him.
have my your autograph?
It's like, what's going on here? They're like, shut up, get away from me. Yeah, and he walked out and they just went crazy. It was, that was fun, man. That was fun to see. I used to have
Love
a
that.
picture on my Instagram of it. I was like, how cool was that? Like the benefit of living
that is
somewhere like
cool.
here. And then when you see it in the movie, yeah, it's different. Do you know another one that was one of the original? I think this is an actual self-improvement film as well.
Go on.
Limitless with Bradley
Oh,
Cooper.
Bradley Cooper.
Because is it NCT?
Yeah, is the drug.
The drug
yeah,
that he takes. Yeah. Like the fact that he was, I think everyone knows what that felt like, the procrastination, just bumming around. You've got a book to write and you're like, oh, I can't be bothered. You're putting everything off. Life's going nowhere. You look a mess. And then it was just like this magic drug that didn't do stuff for him. Do you know what I mean? It's not like a steroid where you still have to go to the gym, but it wasn't like a steroid. It was more like a kick up the arse.
Yeah.
It was a mental drug. And I don't think we'd ever seen that. It was Adderall.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
You know, and it was like you said at the start, this is a drug that makes you, I think he said, more, I can't remember the exact word.
It just unlocked portions of his brain that had been dormant, hadn't it? You know, and like the synapses and all of the stuff in the brain. But yeah, I completely agree. That's a great way of putting it, because he didn't get more handsome or more jacked. All he did was basically style his hair, put on a suit,
Bit of colour in the face.
bit of colour in his face because he was a bit healthy again.
Was going for runs.
Yeah, literally. And he just started to take control of his life and start to make better decisions and become more intelligent. He was reading book after book. Obviously, he did it at a rapid pace because he could absorb the info. But then he gets into trading. Then he makes a shitload of money. Then he starts going to parties. And there's a scene where he's jumping off the cliff and he's in the ocean and stuff like that.
The nice car, then gets himself a nice house.
Yeah, and
it was like upgrading.
Literally, yeah.
Sped up, but you could see it step by step, and you're like, oh, this is how he's done it. I don't think we've ever seen that in a movie.
No, I agree. And then he obviously has the turmoil of kind of losing his way a little bit, and the drug running out, and he gets involved in murder and crime and all of this other stuff. I'm not saying that that's what the path people go down, but that shows the side that a lot of people don't see on social media, because everything is perfect on social media. But in a movie, you can articulate that and show that better. And it does show a bit of his downfall.
And then he learned how to make it sustainable.
Yeah.
Which sounds like business.
Yeah.
And he didn't have all the flashy shit and whatever, but he made his life sustainable.
Yeah.
And it was like, right, it's fixed in place now. I'm a professional version of who I was.
Because he ends up injecting it in the end, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Because it lasts longer. Because Robert De Niro does he come to visit him in the end? And he's like in politics, he's running for mayor or something?
Yeah.
That's it, yeah. And then he's like, I know you're on NZT. And he's like,
Yeah, 'cause he closes the car door
That's
and has
it.
that chat with him. He says, this guy is on his phone, he's texting, he's going to crash. And he's like, you motherfucker, you're still on NCT.
That's it, yeah. And then he says because he funded a lab, didn't he?
Yeah.
And he made it in like a different synthetic way that you could inject.
Man, that's life, that's business.
Yeah, it's just
finding a
evolution,
way
isn't
to
it?
sustain what you're doing. Because I think everyone has a meteoric rise and goes, oh my God, this is amazing, uses it all, and then goes, fuck, I'm going the other way.
Yeah.
I'm not doing what got me to the dance. I'm losing money now. Like, I'm fucking all this up. I'm going on too many dates. I'm buying too many cars. And then you go, okay, let's put it in a position where that doesn't happen again. It was a metaphor.
Yeah,
But
was.
It's the self-improvement. Like seeing him, the music was playing, and I can't remember who it is now. Black Keys or something like that.
Yeah.
I can't explain any of these thoughts racing through my brain.
Trading in the West.
Vern's cash, combined with an unprecedented surge of motivation, enabled me to finish the book in 4 days. A tablet a day, and what I could do with my day was limitless. I learned to play the piano in 3 days. Math became useful and fun.
I'm all in.
Even half listening to any language, I became fluent.
Howling from
it's,
you or something like that.
It might be Gold on the Ceiling.
Is
at
it?
the start, I think, yeah. Oh, no, it might be not.
And
I
he's
know the film
running,
you're on about.
He's like doing
That's
the
it.
sit-ups and he's going through the mirror and
it's
then he's
like
going
the
on the run.
montage, isn't it?
He's putting
Yeah.
the suit on.
Yeah.
Like, just seeing that is just like, I could do that. That inspired loads of my videos. Like, any man can change his life in 3 months and stuff like that. Any man can go from a 1 to a 10. That came from that. It came from that
Yeah.
movie. Because I was
Yeah.
like, look, he's done it. And I know it's Bradley Cooper. Bradley Cooper used to look like shit.
He did.
When he was in, what was it, Wedding Crashers?
He was overweight.
Kind of looked
as
like
well.
shit.
Yeah, he did.
Chris Pratt, there's loads of them.
Yeah. Oh, Chris Pratt, sorry, is the one that was overweight. Bradley
Yeah.
Cooper, he's just matured.
He was still kind of overweight. He was losing his hair and stuff like that. He wasn't who he is today.
Yeah.
Do you know an underrated film? Burnt. We won't talk about it because it's not self-improvement, but Burnt with Bradley Cooper. Nobody ever watches that one. Nobody ever speaks about it.
Yeah, it kind of flopped a little bit, that one.
Yeah,
didn't
it did.
Still a good movie.
It's the color grade that I loved.
Yeah.
It's weird, but
The cinematography is incredible, yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
What do you think of the infamous Fight Club?
Yeah, that's like if we did a top 5 movies for men instead of just talking about films, I think that would be number 1 and number 2, because God, that teaches you so much about life, who to trust,
Yeah, it does, yeah.
deception, lies, violence, stepping up and evolving from this kind of like weak
Hidden version of you.
Yeah, the Edward Norton,
Yeah.
being the weak, frail guy, and then he gets involved in this, but he's had it all in himself this whole time. It's kind of come to the surface, and there's so much to pick apart from that movie. I haven't seen that in a long, long time, but it stuck with me.
Yeah, do you know what, the way I looked at it when I watched it, it didn't like inspire me or anything because I thought I was already on my journey by the time I
Yeah.
watched it. But it was like the Tyler Durden character was very much like we see a Conor McGregor today. So you see a Conor
That's a
McGregor,
great comparison.
and people go, or at least a few years ago, when people are like, "Oh my God, he just told that guy to shut up." When he was like, "Sit down, you weasel." There's a man that looks like a
Yeah.
weasel. Everyone wishes they could say that to their boss. Everyone wishes they could speak up to the guy on the street who's abusing a woman. They never do it. Whereas something like a Conor McGregor goes, "Do you know what? Fuck you." And you get characters in movies that do that, where they do stand up for the woman and stuff like that. And I think guys go, "Oh, I wish I could be like that." That's why so many people aspire to be the... It's not like the loudmouth, but it's the big personality.
Yeah.
When people see somebody up on stage just being raw... Tate's a perfect example.
Tate is a good
Raw
example,
masculinity,
yeah.
where it's like, I don't give a fuck, I'm going to say whatever I want to say, and nobody can hold me back. People who are being told by their teachers at school, don't say that. Their mum tells them off. Their girlfriend's like, "Oh my God, how the hell can you say that to me?" And then you see somebody like Tate going, "Fuck you," and saying whatever he wants. And it's like, yeah, that's the other extreme, and I'm not saying to
Yeah.
live like that. But I think that's what Tyler Durden brought out of people, where it's like, he really doesn't give a fuck. And every man wants to not give a fuck. And every man thinks they don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
But you do, and it's hard.
Yeah, you do.
Everyone's got different levels of how far they go. And I think I don't give a fuck, but you don't go to certain lengths. Like, I'm scared of prison. I'd
Yeah,
never go to prison.
of course, yeah.
I'd happily go and punch people in the head on a daily basis. They annoy me that much.
If you could get
But
away with
yeah,
it,
you're
yeah.
like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
You know, you have to be a certain level of civil to
Yeah,
get
you
through
can't
life.
be a maniac, you know what I mean, running
Exactly.
around hurting people just because, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the thing is, you do, because you take care of your appearance. It's like, if you genuinely didn't give a shit, you just walk out there in your dressing gown and your slippers,
Stinking.
smelling like shit. No one,
Yeah.
no one cares. It's like, I don't care. But of course you do. But there are ways in which you could not give a fuck. You know, Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson is a great book to read about that, because you do only have a finite amount to give. And you can't just keep caring about everything. You can care about your relationship, your appearance, your business, but when you're caring about every minor detail of your life or aspect of your life, or caring to a degree what other people think of you beyond your appearance or beyond kind of just how you live your life. You know, if I'm speaking to someone but I care about their opinion intently, the conversation isn't natural, it's calculated. You know, I'm not flowing, I'm not being who I truly am, and that drives you insane. So if you can kind of not give a fuck in that sense, but give a fuck more in terms of your appearance, business, relationships, etc., your life gets exponentially better. And yeah, Tyler Durden in a way was like that. It was that film, because it was so powerful when it came out and so different. I mean, what is it? It's over 25 years old. I think it came out in 99, I think.
Do you know what was big as well? You're bang on, because it was in like the cubicle era.
Yeah.
Where you would sit in a cubicle.
Yeah.
Who thought that was the best way to do business? We'll lock you in a cubicle and you'll be more focused.
Yeah.
It was like, we'll block you off from your colleagues and you have to do that whole, hey, what are you doing tonight sort of thing. And it's like, who thought that was a good idea? Now we have open plan offices and, you know, you have hockey tables and stuff like that there. And it's like, and soccer, and what do they call it? Like
Table ping
football.
pong as well,
Yeah, and ice hockey and whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just like, obviously people wanted to enjoy themselves. Humans are humans.
Yeah.
But I think that cubicle era of like, you show up with your tie, straighten it up, and you sit there and you're a good boy, you do your work, you go home with your salary every single month. And then somebody went, fuck all that. We're going to scrap.
Somebody somewhere did that,
and punch each other's heads in
Yeah.
and just live like animals.
Yeah.
But it was for older men. It wasn't like Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It wasn't like that. Do you know what I mean? It was like men that were in their late 30s, 40s, 50s and stuff like that. And I think that's why it resonated.
That's why it did so well.
So many guys were like, I do feel trapped.
Yeah, it's
I
why
want to go out and do something.
Man, I see in Fight Club the strongest and smartest men who've ever lived. I see all this potential, and I see it squandered. God damn it, an entire generation pumping gas, waiting tables, slaves with white collars. Advertising has us chasing cars and clothes, working jobs we hate so we can buy shit we don't need. We're the middle children of history, man. No purpose or place. We have no Great War, no Great Depression. Our Great War is a spiritual war. Our Great Depression is our lives. We've all been raised on television to believe that one day we'd all be millionaires and movie gods and rock stars, but we won't. We're slowly learning that fact. We're very, very pissed off.
It's why it's an absolute classic to this day, because that generation still talks about the film as you and I are doing now, and then the younger generation can come through and see it as well. You mentioned the cubicles. Like, it's funny because I watched The Matrix not that long ago. About 2 weeks ago, I watched it, and the opening scene, or one of the opening scenes near the start of the film with Neo, when he gets the call from Morpheus and he's escaping the agents, he's in a cubicle, like locked in a cubicle doing coding.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And then he's in the corporate building, and he's getting, he arrives late for work, he gets scolded by his boss, and then all of a sudden he's, at the end of the film, he's the one, and he realizes all of this stuff about the Matrix and the lies. That, in a way, you could drill that down to a kind of a self-discovery film.
It's a hero's journey.
And a hero's journey, yeah, very much so. It's not necessarily a self-improvement film like Limitless would be, but Neo discovers who he truly is within, and someone believes in him. It's like having a great mentor, you know, and obviously no one outside of Morpheus, even the Oracle, right, in that film doesn't think he's the one.
Yeah.
And Trinity doesn't, and everyone else. And it's like, then eventually he becomes the one, and Morpheus knew it all along. And it's like having this father figure in your life that brings the best out of you, gives you the truth about the world, shows you what you can be. Like that. I'd put The Matrix in my top 3 films of all time. I never get bored of it, ever. I watch it, the special effects for 1999, 26 years ago, are mind-blowing. Still look great to this day. This storyline is amazing. The writing is incredible. The cast is fantastic. I still can't believe that Will Smith was nearly cast as Neo, but he turned it down.
It's crazy,
right?
isn't it?
And I think he did Wild Wild West instead, which is a complete flop, right? But imagine Will Smith as Neo. You can't see anyone else playing that apart from Keanu Reeves. And the thing is, Keanu Reeves plays the kind of the sort of weak, disorientated male quite well in certain movies. I think they cast him. They watched a lot of his casting tapes for Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, and he plays this like geeky, like far out dude, you know, kind of California surfer guy.
But handsome.
But he's handsome.
With
he's
a sleeper build.
So,
you know what I mean? You look at him, you're like, you're. There's something here.
And he's intelligent. He's highly intelligent. So for Neo, he fit that role perfectly. He goes from this bored, depressed, lonely, questioning his existence guy to this, you know, basically a superhero. This god, right? He's the one, stopping bullets and flying and all of this stuff, right? Fighting multiple agents and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's obviously an extreme in regards to polarity, but sometimes like for me, that film resonates so much because I had that Morpheus character in my life, which was my dad, and I now have it to a degree with my my wife. You could say that she's the Trinity in the relationship with Neo, right? But I resonate with that so much because I'm like, those people are in my life to a degree. May sound silly, but I see the character traits. You know, even when Morpheus is fighting Neo, and he's like, "Stop trying to hit me and hit me." Do you know what I mean?
I love that.
And I'm like, I remember doing drills on the football pitch with my dad, and he's like, "Oh, kick it harder! Like you can do better than that." That kind of thing, and it's that sort of stuff that brings the best out of you.
Yeah.
And then eventually Neo schools Morpheus, and everyone's like, "Oh, no, this is what he's truly like." And
Those fight scenes, still some of the best today.
oh, they're brilliant, man. They're so good.
It's proper old school kung fu. Like it sounds like the Bruce Lee films.
Yeah, it does.
It's like, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh,
Yeah.
whoosh, like this,
And
like
all
that.
they're doing is this.
Yeah. And it's like they didn't have to really even. Did they speed it up? Did they whatever? And it's like it's so cool. What was your like? Because when the films like that, you get a spine tingling moment.
Yeah.
You do, and like. There's a few for me, you know, when he's walking up the steps and the agent's coming off the train and he like stops and he's like turns around to face him and they're like, what's he doing? That for me, I'm like, oh, here we go.
Run, Neo, run. What is he doing?
He's beginning to believe.
And then the other one for me is, the other one for me, what was it? When, go on, you go with yours and I'll remember mine.
Right.
Along
I've
the
got
way.
three, right?
Oh, nice.
I've got three. So the one where he's fighting the agent for the first time, but he's not quite the one yet, and he gets beaten up, and then he gets up off the floor and he does that.
Jesus, he's killing him.
That moment there, and then the other one is when Morpheus realizes he's the one, and he sees the code. Neo sees the code, and the agent's a code and everything. And he stops the bullets after he gets shot, and he gets up off the floor and stops the bullets as they fire at him again. And Morpheus leans in and says, "He's the one."
Now get up.
He is the one.
That moment there, because he realizes he was right all along. It's almost like when Lionel Messi's dad watched him play football. He must have had a moment like that.
This kid's
or,
good.
Or Tiger Woods' dad, he's the one, right? And then it's just at the end where Rage Against the Machine kicks in, and it's hard hitting, and it's
And he takes off.
and then he takes off because you hear the monologue from Neo where it's like a world without rules or boundaries, a world without, I can't remember what he says now, and then you just hear the guitar, and then Neo flies up. And then it cuts off.
That's so cool.
And that music is perfect for the ending. That Rage Against the Machine song. I can't remember the name of it now. But it's a fantastic, hard-hitting song. That moment for me.
They nailed it.
Yeah, they did nail it.
I remember my other one. Do you know when the helicopter's crashing?
Oh, yeah.
And he like looks at the rope and he's like, Trinity. And then he like wraps the rope up around his hand and you're like, you're not going to be able to do that. And he's just like holding it like that, and he just like jumps. That
and then
moment
he slides
there for
along
me,
the floor, doesn't he?
spine tingling.
Yeah.
Because you're just like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Here we go. Like he's testing himself. Like he's trying to
Fantastic.
believe.
Yeah,
That's
it.
a big one for
He
me.
started to
That's
believe,
the first time
yeah.
I'm like, shit, we've got something here.
Oh, it's amazing, mate.
That
What
film's
a film.
incredible.
What a film. I could talk about it for ages.
Yeah, I know.
I think we've covered a few good ones there. We said about Bond. We said about Fight Club,
Man, there's some crackers on that list.
Matrix. Yeah, we'll definitely need to do a top 5 or top 10 at some point.
Yeah.
But this is like off the cuff, just speaking about movies that have had a big impact or made us see things differently in life. There's so many more, but those ones really stand out.
We'll do the top 10 list when we think about it properly, or part
Yeah.
2. If you guys want to see a part 2, let us know. We'll do more stuff like this.
Yeah.
I reckon that, yeah. Man, I love stuff like this.
It's great.
Nobody talks about it. Self-improvement's become so serious, and so like if you're not working 24/7, you're a bum. And it's like, I know those people, they don't do that. They're not working 24/7. Like, how are you sipping Johnny Walker in the war room?
Study,
And then
bro.
you're still working.
Yeah.
How are you talking about, like, I actually thought this was really sad. I saw Luke Belmar on a podcast and he was like, GTA comes out, I'm going to play the shit out of it. And I was like, oh, he's human. Nice. And he goes, because currency is going to be on the game and you need to study it, man. You need to learn how. I was like, mate, if you just want to play video games, play fucking video games.
Is he talking about like NFTs?
Yeah, and I was like, mate, if you just want to play video
man.
games, you want to just fucking have a little go on there for a while, eat some Watsits and play with your knob, do it. Just be honest. Do you know what I mean? If you just want to sit there and play some video games and get drunk for the day,
I agree.
do it. Nobody's going to kill you.
It doesn't mean
You've made a bit of
relaxed
cash. Like,
or-
it doesn't mean you're the biggest bum in the world.
Yeah,
Everyone
I
wants a
hate
break.
shit like that because you can still be a high level man, a masculine man, and just have that little 5% of your life where you just enjoy shit a bit more. Yeah, I watched Crazy Stupid Love with my missus the other day. It's funny you mentioned the Ryan Gosling thing with his physique. She loves that film, and I like it. It's funny. I'm not going to deny it's funny. Right? Steve Carell's funny. Ryan Gosling's funny.
It's an amazing film.
Emma Stone is in it as well, right? And I'm like, it's good. You sit down and watch it. Doesn't mean I'm any less of a man. I can go out and make money tomorrow. That takes up 2 hours of my day to spend quality time on my missus and just watch a film. Like if I then see that as a disadvantage, I'm just a fucking idiot. How can that be a disadvantage spending time with my partner and my wife? Like,
Yeah, mate, 100%. You need the mental break as well. Like one guy told me before, he's been on this channel before, Steve Walker, personal trainer, and he said to me, by taking breaks, I made more money. He was like, I took a break, I came back refreshed, I ended up making way more money. It's
crazy, isn't it?
And I've lived by that, where it's like, I take the whole of Saturday off. I tell everybody.
I'm the same with
It used to
Sunday.
be Monday.
Yeah.
It used to be Monday, and I was like, I don't see anybody. I go shopping. Oh, great, there's nobody here. I go to the gym, it's empty, there's nobody here. And I was like, wait, what am I doing? I'm not socializing. I'm not seeing human beings. I was like, sports is on a Saturday. If I want to go and watch a match at like literally West Ham Stadium's down there, if they're playing my team,
see
Man
it from
City,
here.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like I can go down and watch it, take a friend, whatever, go and watch some games. It's like you can enjoy life. You can, but everyone thinks you can't. And it's like movies are a big part of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Big part.
Yeah, I agree, mate.
I remembered
Solid.
another one for the next video, Braveheart.
All right,
Braveheart, we gotta talk
We'll
about
dive
Braveheart.
into that. 100%.
Do you know what we should do? A little reaction watch along. Just watch a movie. Can we do a 3-hour stream? I don't know, but we'll see.
We're moving into streams now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, start competing with iShow Speed and those guys. What is it, 50 million a year? Yes, please.
Yeah,
Sign
Aidan
up to
Ross
that.
and
Yeah.
all of that. Oh.
Get Drake on, have him sat next to us and see where we can go. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed it. See you soon.